it. Hip
What I try to do when I try to make a movie, I try to make the movie under all costs. This movie will be made. And see, when you get bogged down with releases, you got problems. See, when I make a movie, I'm going to finish the movie. So my thing is to get the movie finished and I'm protected. You see, because you can chase releases forever. You know, it's even played on various labels from here to Canada. So I as a filmmaker, this is a main problem that a lot of people have. It's like you said, securing releases, and that bars your film. This movie was made within a 2-year period and done. Now on the road, you could be chasing releases. I've seen people that their movies get stuck in post-production based on that because they're chasing releases. I make movies to finish them and put them out. And so I try not to deal with anything that will stop the progression of getting a movie done. And so when you're dealing with music in that regard, the way you get around that is you don't play anything in the song that's identifiable. That means there's no melody, there's no hook. So what you do is you play the solo parts. Nobody owns that. That's free. That's improvisation. You can't copyright improvisation. So with that, you do that. And then to get the emotional feel, you use film scores. And from how you use the film scores is, I'm not going to pay an orchestra. So what you do is you buy them royalty free. And once you buy it, you can use it forever for whatever you want. So then, it gives the filmmaker more flexibility. It gives the filmmaker more latitude to create what he wants to create without saying, well, use 20 seconds of this, you only use 15 seconds of that, you have to leave this out, you have to all this. And then when you create, at least when I create something, I like to be free to create what I want to create. And I don't want to always have considerations of this and that and the legalities of anything. So this movie can pass through the smell test of anything that anyone wants to put up, because there is nothing that you can say is not copywritten, and it's solely my film. So a man that's been playing for 30 years, with that type of track record, 20 albums and 15 as a sideman, you could go forever and ever, making movies and stories about this man, and they probably can. But the one thing that can't be said, they weren't the first because I was. And that's going to be the benchmark for whatever. And there are different facets of any man. They're just getting ready to release another Abraham Lincoln movie. When you look at movies that make documentaries made by Miles Davis, John Coltrane, they all do that. So how do you make your film? How do you make your films so that a person doesn't take it and look at it and say, all right, I've seen this before. Or how do you take a person that knows nothing about jazz and make him feel that this is a person that I feel that I've come to know. This is a person that I respect and that I enjoy the whole ride, the whole experience, because the film should be an experience for whoever is watching, and it should be a total circumference of that person's life to me. But there are different styles. Oscar Sanders, directs movies in a certain style that might be different from, whoever, Robert Zemeckis, Ridley Scott, or whoever, you can make movies any way you want based on the creativity. But that was the road that I traveled because I felt it was very unique, it was very personal, and I thought that it had an emotional kick to it that people would enjoy. And, you can do, like I said, you can do movies any kind of way that you want to. If you have the freedom to do them. So, I have to be very clever in terms of how I do things, because when I make a movie, I'm going to finish it. And I'm not going to be bogged down in a lot of different issues with different companies and corporations, ASCAP, EMI, and all this other stuff, so that's what we,
What are you working on now?
That gentleman that you just see, Michael Carvin. We already started shooting on Michael Carvin, No Excuses, dynamic dynamic drummer who left Texas at 16 years old and went to California and became a studio musician. And before you know it, he was working with Barbara McNair. He did the soundtrack to Trouble Man with Marvin Gaye. He was with the Marvelettes. He played with Bobby Hutcherson, legendary trumpet player Bobby Hutcherson. Legendary vibe player Bobby Hutcherson, and legendary trumpet player Freddie Hubbard. And so we started on that already, and we have some footage, and great footage with Jimmy Owens and Gary Bartz. These are legendary. These guys have been playing for like 45 years. I mean, you know, probably longer than, well, almost as close as old as I am, you know. And yeah, so we're moving across with that, you know, and continue to do music videos and, you know, some other things coming up. So, anybody have any questions?
Are you a musician yourself?
Yes, I was. How did you know that?
I just knew that well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I also you could have saw me too.
Oh,
Yeah, I was a musician for 17 years. Basically, my relationship with Billy started. Actually, he was a babysitter for me. You know, and my brother and him were very close, and so I got a musical education on jazz very, very young, and you know, and it always helped me in school because when they had jazz appreciation, I was just naming these guys. You know, for me that was like watching the Looney Tunes or something as a kid. I was listening to hardcore mainstream jazz mostly, and that's the stuff that I love. You know, all the stuff that was recorded on Verve, Impulse, you know, that kind of stuff. Brunswick, you know, not the new jazz. I'm a mainstream jazz guy, you know. And then, you know, then I shift to hip hop. Don't ask me how I go from one extreme to the other, but you know, that's how it goes. Yeah. So what happened was I wound up and I recorded 3 albums with him. The ones they talked about, Fire from Within, and another one live at Carlos One. And you know, I gave up college because during that time, we're talking about in the '80s when Reagan was president. I mean, we still had a wall, you know, in Europe, and you know, I was traveling, man. You know, LJ too. LJ was on those tours too, you know, and you know, how can you able to see the world? You know, like that was an education for me, you know. And mostly at that time, people thought if you was from the United States, you basically was in the military. So we surprised a lot of people. No, we were musicians and we were playing, and we went all over the place, man. You know, and you know, it was a great experience. I mean, you know, we stayed in, we played for the mayor of Bavaria. You know, we played, in fact, we stayed in the guy's house, the actual illustrator that actually developed the Alien prototype, you know, and, you know, it was just a great experience, man. I mean, the people were so warm, and, you know, and then, you know, I went through my evolution of who I was as a person, and then, you know, I shifted my creativity to filming. And when I started to do that, you know, because when I first started with film, I was 17 years old, I was using a Bell & Howell. And while guys were out there, you know, maybe getting in trouble being mischievous, I was making films. We used to go and take bags of flour and make cocaine, you know, and then we'd go out to the airport and we'd bring these cabs, and we would just, and people were amazed that these kids were making these films, you know, these type of films. And then, you know, I stopped, and then, you know, when I picked it up again, film school was very expensive. So what I wound up doing is I got the same books that those people got. I went to a lot of workshops, and I continue to do it, you know. I'm just coming from some workshop, just flew in, you know, this morning from Pasadena, from California, and just hustling this film and moving it across the country, you know. And you know, I also got a wealth of knowledge from special features in movies. And I used to think I was the only person that did that. Then when I started really hearing other guys like F. Gary Gray, guys that did The Negotiator, all the Friday movies, these guys didn't go to school either, and they used the same method that I used. That was school for me. You know, every time I watched a movie, I always watched the special features. I always wanted to hear what the filmmaking and how the cinematographers and the script writers and the set directors and how they describe everything. And I was taking notes and I was learning, and I learned that way. And I was always very visual because I was like, my brother and sister were much older than me. So I was a student of cinema. I used to sit on the floor, and all I did was watch film noir. You know, all the Lauras and the killing, all the Sterling Hayden stuff. You know, and all the Casablancas, and you know, and Public Enemy, and Key Largo. That was all my, so I always thought visually, and when people talk to me, I also talk cinematically. So I incorporate in my own dialogue and my own stuff, Hollywood dialogue. People don't know that. when they're talking to me, and it's, oh, yeah, that's very clever. No, that's Peter Lorre said that in 1947. You know, I was doing that kind of, yeah, because basically a lot of that stuff was real, man. It just, it came into my life. So I seen the world visually. You know, I seen the world cinematic. So then, you know, when I took the things that I knew, I was able to do that. And I'm still a student of learning. You have to, you know. But I have my own way of telling a story, as other filmmakers do too, you know. And,
so where's Billy Bang going next?
I have a meeting on Monday with the director of special programs and projects at University of Southern California. They're going to bring the film there. It'll be at Berkeley, you know. And I'm still waiting back from other festivals. And yeah, so, you know, it'll be on sale on my website. We have the movie here on sale. We have T-shirts on sale. And, you know, people can just keep this as a, matter of fact, it's holiday time, and this is stocking stuffers, you know. Everybody should get some, you know, for grandpa and grandma, and, you know, and keep it, you know, and cherish it, and be part of the success of the film. I always tell people, knowing what you have and being part of it is not just watching, it's being able to cherish it and watch it over and over again. You know, I mean, you know, I have a vast collection of my own movies that I love, and I always watch them over and over again. And, you know, and if it touches your heart, you know, you should make sure that, you know, it's part of it. And, you know, that's basically how I feel.
Oscar, I want to thank you. Thank you for sharing Billy with us.
Oh,
Can I ask you a question? You said that this piqued your interest in Billy's music. Have you ever heard Billy before?
And I had heard of him, but I had never heard him play.
Okay, now that you've seen this movie, are you going to go get some of his music?
I'm certainly going to, you know, pull some of that on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
You know, hear it
That is
first.
really
I mean,
accomplished.
of all the types of music that are out there, you know, jazz has always had this like sort of ongoing free-form thing that, you know, never drew me to it. You know, I was moved on Led Zeppelin, okay?
Yeah, so was I.
Yeah, and
That's why you
you know,
listen
now
to
I want to hear this. You know, I want to hear more of it. And,
Yeah, you need to. Because I'm a rock singer. I'm heavy metal, hard rock. I grew up with Zeppelin, Metallica, Deep Purple, Uriah Heep, stuff like that. And I blended in with Billy with Forbidden Planet and never thought that would happen. But it actually worked. I got on tour with him and stuff and wasn't expecting it. Like I said, he does things with a violin you would not believe. You really would not believe it. You check his music.
Well, you see also what this film makes you do also. You see, you want more. So what happens is, now you find more. So, you know, that's one of the accomplishments of the film. Well, you know, I wanted to hear some more of it in the movie, but what I did is, I made the movie into a trailer, or a teaser. So what happens is, now you go and get the music, and then you get the authentic, you know, stuff.
Yeah, I wanted to say, I wasn't familiar with his music. I'm not familiar with it.
Right.
I'm going to get familiar with it now.
Yes, I mean, he's played a lot of different things.
That's what you were
different
asking
styles.
earlier.
Yeah, so, you know, that's where we're at, you know. And I just thank everybody and Ducky for bringing me here. You know, I mean, you know, I'm having a great time. I'm a little tired because you know, flying all over. I feel like Obama. I'm all over the place. You know, I'm going back tomorrow, and then, you know, then down south, and I'm trying to get in the AMC theaters down there. Some other stuff is going on. So yeah, so it's just keep, you know. As Kobe Bryant used to always say, I love sports analogies. He said, ground and pound, ground and pound, ground and pound. Just keep people knowing who you are and what you're doing, and just keep identifying, you know. And as they say on television, with that we go to commercials.
Hip hop.